The baby's scream tore through the marble hallway like a knife through silk. "Please, Amina, please stop crying," Isimade Zaria whispered desperately, bouncing her 11-month-old daughter against her hip. Sweat beaded on her forehead despite the mansion's perfect air conditioning. Her arms ached. Her heart hammered. "Mama's got to work, baby girl. Please, please, please." But Amina only screamed louder, her tiny fists clenched, her face scrunched up and burning red with fury. The other cleaners in the corridor shot Zaria nervous glances before quickly looking away. One woman actually crossed herself. Another mouthed something that looked like "I'm sorry" before disappearing around a corner. "You need to control that child," Mrs. Park hissed, the head housekeeper's eyes darting toward the massive double doors at the end of the hall. The ones made of dark wood that probably cost more than Zaria's entire life. "If he hears that noise—" I know. Zaria's heart slammed against her ribs so hard she thought they might crack. She'd only been working at this mansion in Haecheon for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of scrubbing floors in one of South Korea's most dangerous households. 3 weeks of keeping her head down, her mouth shut, her eyes on the ground. 3 weeks of pretending she didn't know exactly who Han Joon-Ryul was. Pretending she hadn't heard the whispers, the rumors, the stories that made grown men go pale. Before we continue, just for a moment, if you're listening to this story right now, take a second to tell us where you're tuning in from. It always amazes us how far these stories travel across the world. And if you're enjoying this journey so far, don't forget to subscribe, like, and stay with us. "The nanny called in sick this morning," Zaria explained, her voice shaking so badly she barely recognized it. "I had nobody to watch her. Nobody. I thought I could keep her quiet. I thought." "You thought wrong," Mrs. Park snapped, but there was fear in her eyes too. Real fear. "Do you have any idea what kind of man?" The double doors exploded open. Every single person in that hallway froze. Zaria's breath stopped. Her blood turned to ice water in her veins. Time seemed to slow down, stretch out like taffy, and in that stretched moment she saw him. Han Joon-Ryul stood in the doorway like a storm made flesh. 6 feet 2 inches of controlled violence wrapped in a perfectly tailored black suit that probably cost more than Zaria made in 6 months. His jaw was clenched so tight Zaria could see the muscle twitching beneath skin that looked carved from marble. His eyes, cold, dark, absolutely merciless, swept across the frozen staff members like a searchlight hunting for prey. There was a scar running along his left cheekbone. Zaria had heard about that scar. Had heard it came from a knife fight with a rival gang leader. Had heard Han Joon-Ryul killed the man with his bare hands afterward. "Who?" he said quietly. His voice was soft. Terrifyingly soft. "Is making that noise." Amina continued to scream, oblivious to the danger, her little body shaking with the force of her cries. Zaria felt like she might vomit. Felt like her legs might give out right there on the expensive marble floor. One of the guards standing behind Han Joon-Ryul subtly moved his hand toward his holster. Just a slight movement. But Zaria saw it. Saw what it meant. "I asked a question." Han Joon-Ryul took 1 step forward. Just one. But it felt like the temperature in the hallway dropped 20 degrees. Like winter had arrived in a single footfall. It's mine, sir," Zaria forced out, her voice barely a whisper. "My daughter. I'm so sorry. The nanny. I don't. Bring her here." Zaria's knees nearly buckled. "Sir, I don't repeat myself." Every survival instinct Zaria possessed screamed at her to run. To grab Amina and sprint out of this mansion and never, ever look back. To get on the first plane to Lagos and forget South Korea existed. But her feet moved forward instead. 1 step. Then another. Carrying her and her screaming baby toward the most feared man in Haecheon's underground. Toward a man who allegedly controlled half the city's criminal empire. Toward someone who could make people disappear with a single phone call. The other staff members scattered like roaches when light hits them. Mrs. Park actually ran. Just turned and fled down the hallway. Zaria stopped 3 feet away from Han Joon-Ryul, her arms wrapped protectively around Amina. Up close, she could see more details. The scar was worse than she'd thought. Deeper. The kind that came from something meant to kill. His eyes weren't just cold. They were empty. Like looking into a frozen lake and seeing nothing but darkness beneath the ice. His hands, she noticed with a sick feeling, were scarred across the knuckles. Fighter's hands. Killer's hands. "I'm sorry," she said again, hating how her voice trembled. Hating how small she sounded. "I'll leave right now. I'll pack my things." "Oh. How old?" Zaria blinked. "What? The child. How old is she?" 11 months, sir." Han Joon-Ryul's eyes dropped to Amina, who was still crying, her face buried against Zaria's shoulder, her little body hot with distress. For a long moment, he just stared. His expression didn't change. Didn't soften. Didn't show anything at all. The silence stretched out. 1 second. 2, 5, 10. Zaria's heart was going to explode. She was sure of it. Then he did something that made Zaria's entire world tilt sideways. He reached out his hand. "Don't." The word burst from Zaria before she could stop it. Before her brain could catch up to her mouth. She immediately took a step back, clutching Amina tighter, and oh God, she just told Han Joon-Ryul don't. She'd just given orders to a Mafia boss. She was dead. She was so dead. She stammered, trying to fix it. "I'm sorry, sir, but she doesn't like strangers. She doesn't let anyone hold her. Not even my mother. Not even her own grandmother. She just screams louder if anyone tries. She'll." Han Joon-Ryul's hand remained extended. Patient. Waiting. Like he had all the time in the world. Like bullets weren't hidden in his office. Like blood wasn't on his hands. "Please." Zaria tried again, desperation making her voice crack. "She'll just make it worse. She'll scream and—" Amina's head popped up from Zaria's shoulder. The crying stopped. Just stopped. Like someone had flipped a switch. Zaria felt her daughter's body shift. Felt those tiny hands releasing their death grip on her shirt. Felt Amina turning, looking toward this stranger with a scar and the empty eyes and the reputation for violence. "No." Zaria breathed. "No, baby, no. Don't." But Amina was reaching out now. Actually reaching out, grabbing toward Han Joon-Ryul like he was a lifeline instead of a man who'd allegedly killed 17 people with his bare hands. Like he was safety instead of danger. Like he was home. "No, Amina, no." Zaria tried to hold on, but Amina was squirming now, lunging toward this stranger with an urgency that made absolutely no sense. Her little arms stretched out. Her fingers grasped at air. A small sound escaped her throat, not crying, but something else. Something almost happy. "Let her go." Han Joon-Ryul said quietly. "Sir, I don't think." "Let her go." It wasn't a request. Would never be a request. Zaria's arms loosened despite every instinct screaming otherwise. Despite her brain shouting danger, danger, danger. And Amina, her baby girl who screamed when her own grandmother tried to hold her, who couldn't even tolerate the pediatrician touching her without a complete meltdown, who cried when strangers so much as looked at her, practically threw herself into Han Joon-Ryul's arms. The silence that followed was deafening. More than silence. It was the absence of sound, of breath, of reality itself. Han Joon-Ryul stood there, this man who commanded an empire built on fear and blood and broken bones, with an 11-month-old baby girl clinging to his neck. Amina's tiny fists gripped his expensive suit jacket. Her cheek pressed against his shoulder like she'd been doing it her whole life. Her body relaxed completely, utterly trusting. Her breathing evened out. She made a small, contented sound. And Han Joon-Ryul. His expression cracked. Just for a second. Just long enough for Zaria to see something that looked almost like shock flash across his face before the mask slammed back down. Before the empty eyes returned. But she'd seen it. That moment. That flicker of something human. "She's calm," he observed, his voice oddly neutral. Carefully neutral. Like he was trying very hard not to show surprise. Zaria couldn't speak. Couldn't process what she was seeing. Her brain simply refused to accept it. Refused to believe that her daughter, her Amina who trusted no one, was falling asleep in a Mafia boss's arms. Zaria swallowed hard, her throat dry as sand. "Yes, sir. I don't understand." She never. What's her name? Amina. Han Joon-Ryul adjusted his hold on the baby slightly, supporting her more securely. Like he'd done it before. Like holding babies was something he knew how to do. Amina made another small, contented sound and closed her eyes. She was falling asleep. Actually falling asleep in a Mafia boss's arms. In under 30 seconds. Sir. Mrs. Park's voice cracked from somewhere down the hallway. Her voice small and terrified. Your meeting. The Busan representatives are waiting. They've been waiting for 15 minutes. Reschedule it. Sir, I said. Han Joon-Ryul's voice cut like a blade. But he didn't raise it. Didn't disturb the sleeping child in his arms. Reschedule it. His eyes found Zaria's. Held them. You. What's your name? Zaria, sir. Zaria Isimade. Full name. Isimade Zaria. I'm Nigerian. I moved here 18 months ago for university. I was studying at Yonsei before. She stopped herself. He didn't need her life story. Didn't need to know about her dreams. Her failures. Her desperation. Han Joon-Ryul studied her for a long moment. Zaria forced herself to hold his gaze even though every cell in her body wanted to look away. Wanted to run. Wanted to grab Amina and disappear. The father? He asked. Zaria's jaw tightened. Not in the picture. By choice. Whose choice? Mine. Does it matter? The corner of Han Joon-Ryul's mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Not quite. You have a spine. He said it like he was discovering a new species. Interesting. He looked down at Amina again, something unreadable flickering across his face. Something that might have been pain. Or memory. Or both. The baby slept on, completely peaceful, completely safe in the arms of Haechan's most dangerous man. Follow me. Han Joon-Ryul said, turning back toward his office. Sir, That wasn't a request. Zaria's feet moved automatically. Through those massive double doors. Into an office that probably cost more than she'd make in her entire lifetime. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Haechan's glittering coastline. The sea sparkled in the distance. Mahogany furniture that looked hand-carved. Original artwork on the walls. Pieces Zaria recognized from her art history classes. Pieces that belonged in museums. And in the corner, something that made Zaria's breath catch. A bulletproof glass case containing at least a dozen handguns. Arranged like art. Like trophies. Sit. Han Joon-Ryul commanded, gesturing to a leather chair that probably cost more than Zaria's rent. Zaria sat. She watched, completely bewildered, as this man, this dangerous, cold-blooded man who just made a business meeting wait because a baby stopped crying, carefully, almost tenderly, shifted Amina in his arms to sit down behind his massive desk without waking her. He moved like he'd done this before. Like he knew exactly how to hold a sleeping child. Like somewhere, sometime, this had mattered to him. Explain to me, he said quietly, his eyes never leaving Amina's sleeping face. Why you thought bringing an infant into my home was acceptable. My nanny had a family emergency. Zaria said, fighting to keep her voice steady. Fighting to sound like she wasn't sitting in a Mafia boss's office while he held her baby. I called everyone I know. Everyone. My mother in Lagos, she's too old to fly here on short notice. My friends, they all work. Nobody could watch her. And I needed this job, sir. I'm 3 months behind on rent. The landlord's threatening to evict us. To put us on the street. I thought if I could just keep her quiet. If I could just make it through one day. You thought you could hide a baby in my mansion. Yes, sir. Foolish. Yes, sir. Desperate. Zaria lifted her chin, meeting his eyes. Very desperate. Han Joon-Ryul's eyes narrowed slightly. But again, that ghost of something that might have been amusement crossed his face. You're not afraid of me. I'm terrified of you. Zaria corrected. But I'm more afraid of being homeless with a baby. More afraid of going back to Nigeria and admitting I failed. More afraid of my daughter growing up thinking her mother was too weak to survive. Honesty. He said it like he was tasting a rare wine. Also interesting. He glanced down at Amina, whose little fist had wrapped around his tie. She's trusting. She's never trusted anyone before. Zaria admitted. Not like this. My mother held her once and Amina screamed for 2 hours. The doctor can't examine her without sedation. I don't understand what's happening right now. Neither do I. They sat in strange silence for a moment. Zaria watched this feared mafia boss cradling her daughter like she was made of glass. Watched him unconsciously adjust his hold when Amina shifted slightly in her sleep. Watched something in his expression soften in a way she suspected very few people ever witnessed. Very few people lived to witness. Sir. Zaria ventured carefully. May I have her back? I should go. I'll find another job. I won't tell anyone about this. I'll just... No. Zaria froze. No. She's calm. Why would I disturb that? Han Joon-Ryul leaned back in his chair, seemingly completely unbothered by the fact that he was holding a sleeping infant during what should have been a business meeting with representatives from Busan. During what was probably a meeting about millions of won. About territory. About violence. Tell me about yourself. He said. Your story. Why are you in Haitian cleaning houses when you were studying at one of the country's top universities? Zaria hesitated. This felt like a trap. Everything about this situation felt like a trap. Like any moment now someone would burst in with guns. Like she'd wake up and discover this was all a nightmare. But those dark eyes demanded an answer. Demanded truth. I got pregnant. She said simply. My boyfriend, Amina's father, he didn't take it well. Told me to get rid of it or he'd get rid of me. Those were his exact words. Get rid of it, or I'll get rid of you. I refused. He left. Cut me off completely. Took back everything he'd given me. The apartment. The money. Everything. My scholarship covered tuition. Zaria continued. But not living expenses. Not medical care. Not baby supplies. Especially not with a baby on the way. I tried to keep studying. Made it through my second trimester. But I was falling asleep in lectures. Getting sick. The professors were understanding but... She shrugged. I had to choose. School or survival. I chose survival. Started cleaning houses because it was the only work I could get without a degree. Without Korean language fluency. With flexible hours that let me care for Amina. The father. Han Joon-Ryul's voice had changed. Gone colder. Is Korean. American military. Zaria's voice hardened. He was stationed here temporarily. Some kind of joint training exercise. We met at a university mixer. He was charming. Said all the right things. Made all the right promises. He went back to the States 3 months before Amina was born. Changed his number. Blocked me on everything. Had his friends tell me I was lying about the baby. That it wasn't his. That I was trying to trap him. His name. What? Han Joon-Ryul repeated. And this time there was something sharp in his voice. Something dangerous. Something that made Zaria think of knives in the dark. His name. Zaria shook her head slowly. I don't want him dead, sir. I just want him gone. I just want him to stay away from us. Those aren't mutually exclusive. They are to me. Zaria said firmly. Amina doesn't need a dead father. She needs a mother who isn't a murderer. Who can look her in the eye and say she did the right thing. Even when the right thing was hard. Han Joon-Ryul stared at her for a long moment. Then, inexplicably, he smiled. Actually smiled. It transformed his entire face. Made him look almost human instead of like a beautiful monster. Made him look young. Made him look like someone who might have been kind once, before whatever happened to put that scar on his face. You're protecting a man who abandoned you and your child. He said slowly. Why? Because Amina doesn't need a dead father. Zaria repeated. She needs to grow up knowing her mother chose life over revenge. Chose forgiveness over hatred. Even if he doesn't deserve it. The smile faded. I see. Something flickered in his eyes. Something that might have been respect. Or sadness. Or both. May I have my daughter back now, sir? I'll leave. I understand you'll need to fire me. You're not fired. Zaria blinked. I'm not.
No.
Han Joon-Ryul stood up carefully, still cradling Amina like she was precious. Like she mattered. He walked around the desk and with infinite care, with a gentleness that seemed impossible from a man with his reputation, transferred the sleeping baby back into Zaria's arms. Amina stirred slightly but didn't wake. Just nestled against Zaria's chest with a soft sound. In fact, Han Joon-Ryul said, "Your circumstances are about to change significantly. I don't understand." "You will." He returned to his desk and pressed a button on his phone. "Co Min-suk, come to my office." Within seconds, the door opened. A man entered, tall, lean, with sharp features and eyes that missed absolutely nothing. He took one look at Zaria holding a baby and his eyebrows shot up so high they nearly disappeared into his hairline. His mouth opened, closed, opened again.
"Boss."
"This is Isimade Zaria and her daughter Amina," Han Joon-Ryul said, his tone perfectly casual. Perfectly normal. Like this happened every day. Effective immediately, Zaria is no longer part of the cleaning staff. Zaria's stomach dropped. Dropped so fast she felt dizzy. "Sir," she started. "She's my new personal assistant." The room went silent. The kind of silence that feels like it's pressing down on your chest. Co Min-suk's jaw actually dropped. His eyes went wide. He looked at Zaria. At Amina. At Han Joon-Ryul. Back to Zaria. He breathed.
"What?"
"You heard me." Han Joon-Ryul's voice was calm. Matter of fact. As if he hadn't just said something absolutely insane. "Zaria needs employment that accommodates her daughter. I need someone who isn't afraid to speak honestly to me. Someone with actual spine. It's an efficient arrangement."
"Boss."
Co Min-suk started, his voice carefully controlled. "With all due respect. Is there a problem?" The temperature in the room plummeted again. Dropped like a stone. Co Min-suk immediately shut his mouth and shook his head quickly. "No, sir. No problem at all."
"Good."
Han Joon-Ryul's eyes found Zaria's. "Your salary will be 15 million won per month." Zaria nearly dropped Amina. 15 million won. That was more than she'd made in the entire last year. That was more than some people made in 2 years. The apartment above the garage is vacant. He continued like he was discussing the weather. "You and Amina will move in tomorrow. Childcare will be provided on site. Professional. Secure. You'll work standard business hours. Your responsibilities will include managing my schedule, screening communications, and attending meetings as needed. Both domestic and international."
"Sir."
Zaria's voice came out strangled. "I can't. I don't. I'm not qualified. I didn't finish university. I don't speak Korean fluently. I don't." "You can and you will." Han Joon-Ryul interrupted. Something flickered in his expression. Something that looked almost vulnerable. "Consider it payment for something your daughter has reminded me of." "What's that?" Zaria whispered. Han Joon-Ryul looked at Amina, still sleeping peacefully in Zaria's arms. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. Barely audible. "That not everyone sees a monster when they look at me. That maybe there's something left worth saving." The words hung in the air like smoke. Like prayer. Zaria stared at him, at this man who controlled an empire of violence, who had blood on his hands and scars on his face and a reputation that made grown men cross the street. And she saw something she hadn't expected. She saw someone who was tired. Someone who was lonely. Someone who'd been alone for so long he'd forgotten what connection felt like. Zaria started. But she didn't know how to finish. Didn't know what to say to that kind of honesty. To that kind of pain. "Co Min-suk will handle the logistics," Han Joon-Ryul said, his voice returning to normal. "Professional. Distant. Moving arrangements. Paperwork. Everything. You start tomorrow. 8 a.m. sharp. Dress professionally." "But sir." "Tomorrow. Zaria. 8 a.m. It was a dismissal. Final. Complete." Zaria stood on shaking legs. Seo Min-suk opened the door for her, his expression carefully blank. As she walked toward the door, Amina still sleeping against her chest, Han Joon-Ryul's voice stopped her. "Zaria." She turned. He stood by the window now, backlit by the afternoon sun streaming through the glass. For a moment, he looked almost lonely. Almost lost. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For not running. Most people would have. Most people should have." Zaria thought about that for a moment. Thought about fear and survival and the strange twist her life had just taken. Then she smiled. Small but genuine. Most people don't have a baby who apparently thinks you're some kind of safety blanket. His laugh was unexpected. Brief. But real. "Get out of here before I assign you more work." Zaria left. The door closed behind her with a soft click. And in the hallway, with Amina sleeping peacefully in her arms, Zaria allowed herself to shake. To process. To wonder what the hell she'd just agreed to. Seo Min-suk appeared beside her, his expression still carefully neutral. "You're either the bravest woman I've ever met," he said quietly, "or the most foolish. I'm not sure which." "I don't know either," Zaria admitted. "But I don't have much choice, do I?" He studied her for a moment. Then something in his expression softened. "The boss," he said carefully. "He's not what people think. He's exactly what people think. But he's also something else." "What happened to him?" "That's not my story to tell," Seo Min-suk said. "But I've worked for him for 8 years. And I've never seen him react to anyone the way he reacted to your daughter. Whatever she did. Whatever he saw in her." He shook his head. "It changed something." Zaria didn't sleep that night. How could she? 24 hours ago she was scrubbing toilets and dodging eviction notices and wondering how she'd feed Amina next week. Now she was sitting in a luxury apartment with marble countertops and a view of Haechan's glittering coastline. Watching Amina sleep in a brand new crib that probably cost more than Zaria's entire life savings. The apartment was beautiful. Obscenely beautiful. Hardwood floors. Modern kitchen. Bathroom with a tub big enough to swim in. Windows that overlooked the mansion's gardens and the sea beyond. It was more space than Zaria had ever lived in. More comfort than she'd known in 18 months. "This is crazy," she whispered to herself, standing by the window. "This is absolutely crazy. I'm working for a mafia boss. I'm living in his compound. This is..." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her heart jumped. She opened the message. "Be ready at 8 a.m. Seo Min-suk will brief you on your duties. Dress professionally. Han Joon-Ryul." The mafia boss had her personal phone number. The man who could probably have her killed with a single word had her number and was texting her about tomorrow's schedule. Zaria's hands shook as she typed back. "Yes, sir." 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Zaria watched them, her heart racing. Finally, a message came through. "The baby." She slept well. Zaria stared at her phone like it had grown a second screen. Was Haechan's most feared crime lord really asking about her daughter's sleep schedule? Was this real life? She typed back. "Yes, sir. She's been out for 3 hours. That's a record for her." Good. That was it. Just good. But something about that single word made Zaria's chest feel strange. Made something warm bloom behind her ribs. Made her think that maybe this wasn't completely insane. Maybe there was something here worth staying for. She looked over at Amina, sleeping peacefully in her expensive new crib. Her daughter who'd trusted a stranger. Who'd seen something in Han Joon-Ryul that no one else could see. "What did you see, baby?" Zaria whispered. "What did you see in him that made you feel safe?" Amina didn't answer. Just slept on, her little chest rising and falling. Innocent. Trusting. Completely unaware that she'd just changed 3 lives with a single moment of trust. The next morning came too fast. Zaria dressed in the only professional outfit she owned, a simple black dress she'd bought second-hand for university presentations. She did her makeup carefully, twisted her hair into a neat bun, and tried to look like someone who belonged in a mafia boss's inner circle. She failed spectacularly. The woman in the mirror looked terrified. Young. Completely out of her depth. You can do this. She told her reflection. You've survived worse. You've survived being abandoned pregnant in a foreign country. You've survived being alone. You've survived poverty. You can survive this. The doorbell rang at exactly 8 a.m. Seo Min-suk stood there, looking crisp and professional in a dark suit. He handed her a tablet and a sleek black phone. Company phone. He explained. Encrypted. Secure. Use it for all work communications. And this. He handed her a leather folder. Is your contract. Read it carefully. Sign it if you agree. Zaria opened the folder with shaking hands. The contract was in both English and Korean. 15 million won per month. Housing provided. Health insurance. Child care. A benefits package that seemed impossible. This is. She breathed. This is too much. That's what the boss offered. Seo Min-suk's expression was carefully neutral. I'd suggest you take it. How many people get second chances like this? Why is he doing this? Zaria asked quietly. None of this makes sense. Seo Min-suk studied her for a long moment. The boss doesn't explain himself. But I've worked for him for 8 years and I've never seen him react to anyone the way he reacted to your daughter yesterday. Whatever she did, whatever he saw in her, it changed something. What kind of something? The kind that might save his life. Or end it. I don't know which yet. Before Zaria could respond, another woman appeared in the doorway. She was in her 50s, with kind eyes and the posture of someone who could probably kill you with a chopstick. Madame Ngoma. She introduced herself with a slight French accent. I'll be caring for Amina. Zaria's arms instinctively tightened around her daughter. Your former Congolese intelligence officer. Madame Ngoma said calmly. Retired. Now I specialize in child safety and security. Your daughter will be safer than the president's children. I promise you that. Why? Zaria asked. Why do you work here? Why does anyone work anywhere? Madame Ngoma smiled. The boss pays well. Values loyalty. And despite what people say. She glanced toward the main house. He's not the monster everyone thinks. Is he a monster at all? Sometimes. Madame Ngoma's expression turned serious. But not today. Not with your little one. May I? Held out her arms. Zaria looked down at Amina, who was awake now, looking up at this stranger with wide eyes. Normally she'd be screaming. But instead, Amina reached out, just like she'd done with Han Joon-Ryul. Grabbed at Madame Ngoma's fingers. Smiled. She's special, this one. Madame Ngoma said softly, taking Amina gently. She sees with her heart, not her eyes. We'll have a wonderful day together, won't we, little one? Amina giggled. Actually giggled. Zaria felt tears prick her eyes. Take care of her. She whispered. With my life. Madame Ngoma promised. And Zaria believed her. Believed it in a way she hadn't believed anything in a long time. Seo Min-suk cleared his throat. We should go. The boss is waiting. Han Joon-Ryul's office was exactly as Zaria remembered. Intimidating. Expensive. Cold despite the morning sunlight streaming through the windows. He stood by those massive windows now, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Korean in a voice that could freeze hell. Zaria caught words. Shipment. Busan. Friday. Consequences. He looked up when she entered. Held up one finger. Wait. Zaria waited. Stood there while he finished threatening someone. While he promised violence in a voice that made her skin prickle. If those shipments aren't in Busan by Friday. Han Joon-Ryul said into the phone, his voice dropping to something deadly. Something inhuman. I'll personally ensure you spend the rest of your very short life regretting it. Are we clear? A pause. He listened. His jaw tightened. I don't care about your excuses. I care about results. Friday. Busan. Or you disappear. Understood. Another pause. Excellent. He ended the call and turned to face her fully. His eyes traveled over her appearance once. Quickly. Professionally. You look nervous. I am nervous, Zaria admitted. Sir. Don't be. You're here because your daughter has better judgment than most adults I know. Better instincts than trained soldiers. He moved to his desk and gestured for her to sit. Today you observe. Watch everything. Listen to everything. Ask questions. Learn how I work. Learn what I do. Both the business people see and the business they don't. Yes, sir. And Zaria. Sir. Stop calling me sir every sentence. His eyes held hers. Han Joon-Ryul is fine when we're alone. When we're in private. Zaria's eyes widened. I don't care what you think. I care what I tell you to do. But there was no heat in his voice. Almost like he was testing her. Pushing to see where her boundaries were. Say it. Say what? My name. Say my name. Zaria's heart hammered. This felt dangerous. Intimate in a way that made her skin prickle with something that wasn't quite fear. Han Joon-Ryul. She forced out. The syllables felt strange in her mouth. Foreign. His expression didn't change, but something flashed in his eyes. Satisfaction, maybe. Pleasure. Better. We have 4 meetings today. 2 with legitimate business partners. 2 with people who would kill me if they thought they could get away with it. Your job is to take notes and watch body language. Tell me afterward what you noticed. What you observed. You want me to analyze people. Your daughter saw something in me that no one else sees. Han Joon-Ryul said. I'm curious if you inherited that same instinct. That same ability to see past surfaces. The first meeting was with a tech CEO from Seoul. Young. Ambitious. Terrified. He kept glancing at Zaria like she was a bomb that might explode. Like her presence there meant something he couldn't figure out. Han Joon-Ryul negotiated a partnership deal worth billions of won without raising his voice once. He was smooth. Calculated. Terrifying in his precision. Every word chosen carefully. Every pause deliberate. The CEO agreed to everything. Signed papers with shaking hands. Left looking like he'd just escaped death. The second meeting was with an older man covered in tattoos. Yakuza. Zaria realized with ice forming in her veins. Japanese organized crime. He and Han Joon-Ryul spoke in a mixture of Korean and Japanese, their voices low, their words careful. The Yakuza boss never once looked afraid. His entire demeanor changed when he spoke with the Yakuza boss. Harder. Colder. More dangerous. Like watching a blade being sharpened. The air in the room grew thick with tension. Every word carried weight. Every pause meant something. When the Yakuza boss left, he bowed slightly to Han Joon-Ryul. A sign of respect. Equal to equal. Predator to predator. As he walked past Zaria, his eyes flicked to her phone sitting on the table. To the lock screen photo of Amina smiling. He paused for just a fraction of a second. Then he smiled. It wasn't a kind smile. He said quietly, in perfect English. He finally found a weakness. Then he walked away, his laugh echoing down the hallway. Cold. Knowing. Threatening. Zaria's blood turned to ice. Found a weakness. What did that mean? What did he know? Han Joon-Ryul's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened fractionally. Ignore him, he said. What did he mean? Zaria pressed. Nothing that concerns you. Yeah. The word yet hung in the air like a sword. After the meetings, Han Joon-Ryul turned to her. His expression was carefully neutral. What did you notice? About the meetings. About the men. Zaria hesitated, gathering her thoughts. Trying to organize what she'd observed. The tech CEO was afraid of you. She said slowly. But the Yakuza boss respected you. There's a difference. Go on. The CEO kept looking at me because he was trying to figure out our relationship. Trying to assess if I'm someone important to you. If I'm someone he could use as leverage or information. He agreed to your terms too easily. He'll try to renegotiate in 3 months when he thinks you've forgotten the details. When he thinks he has more power. And the Yakuza boss. The Yakuza boss never looked at me once. Zaria continued. Because he already knew I was irrelevant to the negotiation. She paused. Because he knew I was relevant and was pretending not to notice. Testing you. Seeing if you'd protect me. Han Joon-Ryul's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Not bad. What else? The tech CEO is scared but calculating. He'll be a problem eventually. He's the type who'll smile to your face and hire assassins behind your back. And the Yakuza boss. Zaria's voice dropped. He's planning something. He kept touching his ring on his right hand. 3 times during the conversation. It's a nervous tell. He's already set something in motion and was there to gauge your reaction. To see if you suspected anything. Han Joon-Ryul leaned back in his chair, studying her with open interest now. You're observant. Very observant. I'm a single mother. Zaria said simply. You learn to read people when your survival depends on it. When you need to know if the landlord is really giving you another week or if he's about to change the locks. When you need to know if your boss is going to fire you. When you need to know who's safe and who's dangerous. Indeed. Han Joon-Ryul stood up, moving to the window. We're done for the day. Go check on Amina. Spend time with her. Zaria blinked. It's only 2 p.m. Sir. And you've done more than I expected. His voice was quiet. Softer than she'd heard it. Go be with your daughter. She needs you more than I do right now. Zaria didn't need to be told twice. But as she reached the door, his voice stopped her. Zaria. She turned. Han Joon-Ryul stood by the window again, backlit by the afternoon sun. For a moment, he looked almost lonely. Almost lost. Almost human. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For not running. For staying despite the danger. Despite what you know about me. Most people would have run screaming. Most people should run screaming. Zaria thought about that for a moment. Thought about fear and survival and the strange connection forming between them. Then she smiled. Small but genuine. Most people don't have a baby who apparently thinks you're some kind of safety blanket. Some kind of home. His laugh was unexpected. Brief. But real. Warm. Get out of here before I assign you actual work. Zaria found Amina in the nursery Madame Ngoma had set up. Her daughter was playing with blocks, laughing, completely happy. Safe. Madame Ngoma looked up with a warm smile. She's been perfect. An angel. This doesn't happen, Zaria said, sitting down beside them. She's never this calm with strangers. She was calm with the boss yesterday. Madame Ngoma observed. And she's calm with me today. Maybe she knows something we don't. What do you mean? Children see truth. Madame Ngoma said simply. They see past masks. Past reputations. Past fear. Your daughter looked at Han Joon-Ryul and didn't see a monster. She saw someone who needed softness. Who needed to remember what gentleness felt like. And she gave it to him. The weeks that followed fell into a strange rhythm. A rhythm that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. Zaria learned the business. Both sides of it. The legitimate side. Real estate developments. Tech investments. Import-export companies. And the shadow side. The part that existed in whispers and coded language. Territory disputes. Protection arrangements. Shipments that arrived in the dead of night. She sat in meetings with gang leaders and corporate executives. Watched Han Joon-Ryul command rooms with nothing but his presence. Watched him negotiate with words sharper than knives. Watched him make people disappear with a single phone call. And every evening, without fail, he stopped by the apartment to see Amina. It became routine. Expected. 6 p.m. Like clockwork. He'd knock softly. Enter quietly. And Amina would squeal with joy and toddle toward him on unsteady legs. She's growing, he observed one evening, crouching down as Amina walked toward him, arms outstretched. Look at you. Getting so strong. So brave. Amina grabbed his finger, laughing, and he scooped her up gently. Spun her in a slow circle. Her giggles filled the apartment like music. Like light. You're good with her, Zaria said quietly, watching them. watching this dangerous man transform into something gentle, something almost peaceful. I had a sister once, Han Joon-Ryul said, his voice distant. She was small like this, young, innocent. His jaw tightened. A long time ago. What happened? Zaria asked softly. She died. His voice was flat, empty. I couldn't protect her. I was 17. Thought I was invincible. Thought nothing could touch us. I was wrong. How did she? A rival gang. Han Joon-Ryul's eyes went dark. Dead. Cold. They came to our house looking for my father. He wasn't there. She was. They. He stopped. Swallowed hard. She was 8 years old. 8. And they killed her to send a message. Oh God. Zaria breathed. I'm so sorry. Don't be. It made me what I am. Made me strong enough that no one will ever take anyone from me again. Strong enough to protect. To control. To destroy anyone who threatens what's mine. He looked at Amina, something raw and painful crossing his face. Your daughter. She doesn't see what I am. What I've done. What I'm capable of. She just sees me. And sometimes. His voice cracked slightly. Sometimes I forget. Forget the blood. Forget the violence. Forget the monster. And I just remember. Maybe that's because she knows who you actually are. Zaria said quietly. Beneath everything else. Beneath the reputation and the fear and the violence. Maybe she sees the person you were supposed to be. Before life took your sister. Before you had to become this. Han Joon-Ryul's eyes met hers. And who is that? I'm still figuring that out. Zaria admitted. But I think he's someone worth knowing. Someone worth saving. You can't save me. Maybe not. But maybe Amina already has. The moment hung between them. Fragile. Tender. Dangerous in its intimacy. Then Amina yawned, breaking the spell, and Han Joon-Ryul smiled softly. Someone's tired. I should go. Let you put her to bed. You could stay. Zaria heard herself say. The words surprised her. Surprised them both. If you want, help me with bedtime. His expression shifted. Softened. Something vulnerable flickering across his features. I'd like that. They put Amina to bed together. Han Joon-Ryul read her a story in Korean, his voice gentle, patient. Amina's eyes grew heavy. She reached out, one hand grabbing Zaria's finger, the other grabbing his. Linking them together. Appa. She mumbled sleepily. The Korean word for daddy. Han Joon-Ryul froze. His eyes went wide. Shocked. Almost afraid. Zaria's breath caught. Zaria started. She doesn't know. She just. It's okay. Han Joon-Ryul's voice was rough. Thick with emotion. It's. He looked down at Amina, already asleep, holding both their hands. It's okay. But Zaria saw the tear that slid down his cheek. Saw him wipe it away quickly. Saw the walls crack just a little more. Everything changed on a Tuesday. 3 weeks after Zaria started working for Han Joon-Ryul. 3 weeks of tentative friendship. Of growing trust. Of something neither of them wanted to name. Zaria was reviewing contracts in his office. Learning to spot the loopholes. The hidden clauses. The ways people tried to cheat. Han Joon-Ryul was on a call with someone in Busan. His voice calm. Professional. Deadly. Then Seo Min-suk burst through the door. No warning. No knock. Gun already drawn. His face pale. Boss. He gasped. We have a problem. Kim's crew. They just. The window exploded. Glass erupted inward like a crystal storm. Deadly shards flying everywhere. Zaria screamed as Han Joon-Ryul dove across the desk. Moving faster than should be possible. Slamming into her. Dragging her to the floor. His body covered hers completely. Completely. Shielding her. Protecting her. As bullets tore through the office. Ripping into walls. Shattering artwork. Destroying everything. Stay down. He roared over the chaos. Don't move. Don't breathe. Just stay down. More gunfire. Louder now. Closer. The sound of cars screeching outside. Tires burning rubber. Men shouting. Screaming. Han Joon-Ryul was already on his phone. His voice deadly calm despite the chaos. Despite the bullets. Madam Ngoma. Secure the baby. Lockdown protocol. Code black. Move. He looked down at Zaria, his face inches from hers. Are you hurt? Did anything hit you? Talk to me. She shook her head, too shocked to speak. Too terrified to breathe. Her ears were ringing. Her body shaking. Good. He rolled off her smoothly. A gun appearing in his hand like magic. Like it had always been there. Seo Min-suk. Perimeter. How many? 3 vehicles. Seo Min-suk was already at the window, firing back. Kim's men. At least 15 hostiles. Maybe 20. RPGs. Heavy weapons. They're not here to negotiate. Another explosion. Closer this time. The entire building shook. They're breaching the front entrance. Seo Min-suk shouted. Coming inside. Han Joon-Ryul's expression went cold. Glacial. Inhuman. Then they picked the wrong day to die. He grabbed Zaria's face, forcing her to look at him. Forcing her to focus through the terror. Listen to me very carefully. You're going to crawl to that door. You're going to run. Not walk. Run. To your apartment. You're going to grab Amina from Madam Ngoma. You're going to lock yourself in the panic room. The code is 0-8-1-5. My sister's birthday. Do you understand me? What about you? Zaria gasped. What about? I'll handle this. Now move. His voice dropped to something that wasn't quite human anymore. Something dark and violent and terrifying. Move. Zaria. She crawled. Glass cut her palms. Cut her knees. Blood slicked the expensive marble floor. She didn't care. Didn't feel it. She just needed to get to Amina. Needed to get to her baby. Behind her, she heard Han Joon-Ryul's voice drop into something that sounded like death itself. You just made the last mistake of your pathetic lives. Then gunfire erupted like thunder. Zaria ran. Faster than she'd ever run in her life. Her heart slamming against her ribs. Her breath coming in gasps. She burst into the apartment where Madam Ngoma already had Amina in her arms. Both of them ready. Prepared. Madam Ngoma's expression was calm. Professional. Deadly. Inside. She commanded. The panic room was small but secure. Steel-reinforced walls. No windows. Ventilation system. Emergency supplies. Madam Ngoma punched in a code and the door sealed with a heavy mechanical thunk. Solid. Final. Safe. Amina was crying now. Scared by the noise. By the chaos. By her mother's terror. Zaria grabbed her, holding her tight. So tight. Rocking her. Shushing her. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Mama's here. Mama's got you. You're safe. You're safe. But outside, the gunfire continued. Rapid bursts. Explosions. Screaming. Men dying. And Zaria realized with absolute certainty that if Han Joon-Ryul died tonight, something inside her would shatter. Would break beyond repair. Please. She whispered into Amina's hair. Her tears falling. Please let him be okay. Please. I can't. We can't lose him. Please. The minutes crawled by like hours. Each second an eternity. Zaria counted heartbeats. Counted breaths. Counted prayers. Madam Ngoma sat calmly, a gun in her lap, positioned between Zaria and the door. Ready. Alert. Protective. He'll survive. She said quietly. He always does. How do you know? Because men like Han Joon-Ryul don't die easily. Madam Ngoma's expression was grim. They're too angry. Too determined. Too needed. The gunfire outside was slowing. Fewer shots. Longer pauses. Then, silence. Complete silence. It was worse than the noise. Worse than the chaos. Silence meant it was over. Meant someone had won. Meant. The door handle turned. Madame Ngoma raised her gun instantly. Aimed. Steady. Code. She barked. 0-8-1-5. Han Joon-Ryul's voice. Rough. Exhausted. Alive. Madame Ngoma lowered her weapon and opened the door. Han Joon-Ryul stood there. Covered in blood. Soaked in it. His suit torn. His face cut. His knuckles split and bleeding. But alive. Breathing. Standing. "You're safe," he said. Not a question. A statement that needed confirmation. Needed to be true. "We're fine." Zaria's voice broke. Are you hurt? Is any of that? Most of it's not mine." His eyes found hers. Held them. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This is my world. My danger. My violence. You and Amina shouldn't." "Stop." Zaria stood on shaking legs. Still holding Amina. "Stop apologizing. We're okay. You protected us. You kept us safe. I put you in danger." "No," Zaria said firmly. "Kim did. And I'm guessing." Swallowed hard. "I'm guessing Kim's not a problem anymore." Han Joon-Ryul's expression went dark. Empty. Cold. "He's not. None of them are." Amina reached out suddenly. Her little hand stretching toward Han Joon-Ryul. Wanting him. Needing him. Despite the blood. Despite the violence. Despite everything. "I'm covered in." Han Joon-Ryul started. "She doesn't care," Zaria said softly. "She just wants you." He crossed the space between them carefully. Slowly. Like he was afraid he might break something. Might contaminate something pure with his violence. And Amina touched his face. Her little hand gentle. Exploring the cuts. The blood. Her face scrunched up with concern. "Oi," she said clearly. Her second word. "Oi." Han Joon-Ryul froze. Completely froze. His entire body going rigid. He breathed. Her second word. Zaria's eyes filled with tears. "She was worried about you. About you being hurt." "Oi," Amina repeated, patting his cheek gently. Patting the cuts like she could heal them with touch. "All better. Appa oi. All better now." Something in Han Joon-Ryul's expression crumbled. Shattered. All the walls he'd built. All the defenses. All the coldness. It broke. He pulled Amina close. Pulled both of them close. His arms wrapping around them. Holding them like they were the only real things in a world of ghosts. "I'm okay, little one." His voice cracked. Broke. "I'm okay. I'm okay now." And watching them. Watching this dangerous man hold her daughter with such tenderness. Such desperate need. Zaria finally understood. Amina hadn't seen a monster. She'd seen someone who needed saving just as much as they did. Someone who'd been alone too long. Someone who'd forgotten what love felt like. "Han Joon-Ryul," Zaria said softly. He looked at her. Really looked at her. His eyes red. Wet. Vulnerable in a way she'd never seen. Never expected. "Say," he said. Not a command. A plea. A desperate request from someone who'd never asked for anything. "Both of you. Stay with me. Let me protect you. Let me." His voice broke completely. "Let me be something other than a monster. Let me be something worth saving." Zaria reached out. Took his bloodied hand in hers. Laced their fingers together. "You already are," she whispered. "You already are. And you don't need to be saved. You just need to remember you're human. That you're allowed to feel. Allowed to love. Allowed to be loved." Amina giggled suddenly. Patted both their faces with her little hands. "Oh, we all better," she announced proudly. "Happy now?" "Yes." "Mama happy. Appa happy. All better now." And somehow, impossibly, despite the violence and the blood and the bodies outside, it was. Zaria didn't ask what happened to Kim's men. Didn't want to know. The next morning, The mansion was pristine. Like nothing had happened. Windows replaced. Walls repaired. Blood cleaned. Evidence erased. But something had changed. Something fundamental. Han Joon-Ryul was different. Softer around the edges. Less guarded. He smiled more. Laughed more. Spent more time with them. Security increased. Guards tripled. Madame Ngoma never left Amina's side outside the apartment. Seo Min-suk hired additional protection. But inside their small world, inside the apartment and the office and the moments they shared, there was peace. "We found the traitor," Seo Min-suk reported one morning. "The one who opened the gates for Kim's men." "Who?" Zaria asked. "One of the kitchen staff. New hire. Kim's cousin. He's been dealt with." "How?" Zaria pressed. "Dealt with how? You don't want to know." Seo Min-suk's expression was grim. "Trust me." The boss was thorough. Zaria decided not to ask further. Decided some things were better left unknown. The weeks turned into months. Spring arrived in Hacheon. Cherry blossoms bloomed. The sea sparkled. And slowly, carefully, something grew between Zaria and Han Joon-Ryul. Something neither of them wanted to name. Something that felt too fragile. Too precious. Too dangerous to acknowledge. But it was there. In the way he looked at her. In the way she found reasons to stay late in his office. In the way their hands brushed and neither pulled away. In the way he kissed Amina goodnight and his eyes would find Zaria's. Hold them. Ask questions he didn't voice. "You don't have to stay," he said one evening. 6 months after she'd started working for him. 6 months after Amina had changed everything. "You could leave. Take Amina. Start over somewhere safe. Somewhere far from this. From me." "Do you want me to leave?" Zaria asked quietly. "No." His voice was rough. Raw. Honest. "God, no. But I want you to have the choice. Want you to know you're not trapped. That you could." "I don't want to leave." "Then don't." It was that simple. That complicated. That terrifying. Zaria stepped closer. Close enough to smell his cologne. Close enough to see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. "I'm not afraid of you. You should be. I'm not afraid of what you are. I'm afraid of how I feel when I'm with you." "And how is that?" "Safe," Zaria admitted. "For the first time in my life. I feel safe. Despite everything. Despite the danger. Despite knowing what you're capable of. When I'm with you, I feel safe. And that terrifies me." Han Joon-Ryul reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away. Time to run. But she didn't. His hand cupped her face gently, like she was something precious. Something breakable. "You are safe," he promised. "I would burn this city to the ground before I let anyone hurt you. Would kill anyone who tried. Would destroy everything. You can't promise that." "I just did." He leaned closer, his forehead touching hers. "I just did. And when I make promises, Zaria, I keep them." He kissed her then. Soft. Gentle. Tender in a way that made her chest ache. Made her believe in impossible things. In redemption. In second chances. In love born from the strangest circumstances. When they pulled apart, Amina was standing in her crib, watching them. Clapping her little hands together. "More," she demanded. "More kiss. Appa. Mama. More." They laughed. And kissed again. For Amina. For themselves. For the future they were building from broken pieces. 6 months later. 6 full months from the day Amina first reached for Han Joon-Ryul. The mansion gardens were in full bloom. Summer had arrived. The sea breeze carried the scent of flowers and salt. And Amina was running. Running on sturdy legs. No longer a baby but a toddler. Confident. Fearless. Loved. "She's fast," Zaria called out, chasing her daughter through the manicured gardens. Laughing. Free. Happy in a way she'd never imagined possible 18 months ago. Amina shrieked with joy, her pigtails bouncing as she ran. straight toward the man waiting for her with open arms. "I've got her," Han Joon-Ryul announced, sweeping Amina into his arms, spinning her around. Her giggles filled the air like music, like magic. He'd traded his suits for casual clothes on weekends. Jeans, simple shirts. The scars on his face had faded slightly but never fully disappeared. Neither had the darkness in his world. Neither had the danger. But Amina, stubborn, beautiful, impossibly brave Amina, had brought light into it anyway. Had reminded him what it meant to be human. "You're spoiling her," Zaria said. But she was smiling. Couldn't stop smiling. Hadn't stopped smiling in months. "That's my job," Han Joon-Ryul replied, pressing a kiss to Amina's forehead before turning those dark eyes on Zaria. Eyes that looked at her now with warmth, with love, with promise. "And you? Spoiling both of you. That's my job. My privilege. My purpose. Is that in my official job description? I'll add it." He kissed her then, soft and sweet, while Amina clapped her hands between them. Delighted. "More," Amina demanded. "More kisses. More happy." They laughed. And for a moment, for this moment, the world wasn't dangerous or dark or complicated. It was just them. A broken man who found redemption in an infant's trust. A desperate woman who found safety in the arms of danger. And a baby who never saw monsters. Only the man inside. Only the heart beneath the scars. Only the love waiting to be remembered. Zaria leaned against Han Joon-Ryul as they watched Amina chase butterflies through the garden. His arm wrapped around her waist. Solid. Protective. Real. "I love you," she said quietly. The first time she'd said it out loud. The first time she'd been brave enough. Han Joon-Ryul stiffened slightly, then relaxed. Pulled her closer. "I know," he said, his voice rough with emotion. "I've known for months." "Have you? And you? Do you? Love you?" He turned her to face him, his eyes serious, intense, vulnerable. "I would die for you. I would kill for you. I would give up everything for you and Amina. So yes, I love you. More than I thought I was capable of loving anyone. More than I deserve." "You deserve everything," Zaria whispered. "You deserve to be happy." "I am happy. For the first time in 20 years. I'm happy." They kissed again. Longer this time. Deeper. A promise. A future. A forever they were building together. But, in the distance, on a rooftop across from the mansion, invisible to the happy family in the garden, a figure crouched. Silent. Patient. Deadly. The same sharpshooter who'd watched through the scope months ago. The one who'd had his finger on the trigger. The one who'd hesitated. He watched them now. Watched Han Joon-Ryul kiss Zaria. Watched Amina play. Watched the man who'd been untouchable finally have something to lose. The sharpshooter smiled. Cold. Calculating. Satisfied. He dismantled his rifle slowly. Methodically. Packed it away with practiced ease. No rush. No urgency. Just certainty. He pulled out his phone. Typed a message. "The target has confirmed weaknesses. 2 of them. The woman and the child. Awaiting orders." The response came quickly. "Stand by. We move when the moment is right. When he least expects it. When it will hurt most." The sharpshooter smiled again. Whispered to himself as he looked one last time at the family below. "Enjoy it while it lasts, Han Joon-Ryul. Because this." He gestured to the scene of happiness and love and redemption. "This isn't over. Not even close. We're just getting started." He disappeared into the shadows. Gone like smoke. Like a ghost. Like a promise of violence yet to come. And below, unaware of the threat watching from above, Han Joon-Ryul held his family close. Held them tight. Believing, hoping, praying that maybe, finally, he could keep them safe. That maybe the past wouldn't come for what he loved. But in his world. In the world he'd built from blood and fear and broken bones. Safety was always temporary. Happiness was always borrowed. And peace. Peace was just the calm before the next storm. The question wasn't if danger would come again. The question was when. And whether this time, love would be enough to survive it. Whether the man who'd forgotten how to be human could remember enough to protect what made him human again. Time would tell. But for now. For this perfect moment in the garden with butterflies and laughter and sunshine. For now, they were happy. And sometimes that was enough. If this story touched something in your heart, if you felt the fear, the hope, the unexpected love that bloomed in the most dangerous place, then I have a small request. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me which moment affected you most. Was it when Amina first reached for Han Joon-Ryul? Was it the attack? The kiss? The ending? I genuinely read every single comment you leave, and they absolutely fuel my passion for bringing you these stories. Also, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. What city? What country? It means everything to me knowing this story reached you, wherever you are. Thank you for spending this time with Zaria, Amina, and Han Joon-Ryul. Thank you for believing in redemption, in second chances, in love that defies logic. Until we meet again in the next story, stay blessed, stay safe, and remember that sometimes the most broken people just need someone who sees past their scars.